watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandgopal, and this evening we're getting you all the updates coming in from Bengal. Last few days, non-stop reports coming in of violence. And today you've had the political face-off between the BJP and the TMC peaking over the panchayat poll violence. We're going to get you all the latest updates, the latest images from Bengal coming your way. Here are the headlines first. Cyclone Biparjoy leaves a trail of destruction across Gujarat. 3 highways shut, over 4,000 villages inundated. 1,000 villages still don't have power. Political war over renaming Nehru Museum. After Nehru Museum changed to the Prime Minister's Museum, Congress launches pettiness and vengeance attack at centre. Showdown over scrapping of anti-conversion law in Karnataka escalates. Bajrang Dal and VHP protest against Siddaramaiah government. Sidra Mullah Khan slogans raised against the Chief Minister. ED summons arrested Tamil Nadu Minister Senthil Balaji's brother in cash for jobs scam. Governor rejects CM's recommendation to reallocate Senthil's portfolios. Union Minister's house vandalized in Imphal. Mob storms into a house in Imphal and set it on fire. On the day of its release, Adipurush is embroiled in controversy. Plea filed in court accusing film of hurting Hindu sentiments.
उनकी जो मानव से भगवान बन गए, जिनका जीवन था मर्यादा.
It's poll season in Bengal. This time it's the panchayat election, and once again it's the same old story of violence, of clashes and a political war of words. We've been seeing images, shocking ones at that, coming in from South 24 Parganas of the kind of violence that's been unleashed on the streets. But who's to blame for these clashes? The TMC, Mamata Banerjee herself, has spoken on this and in a long speech lashed out at the opposition, saying that they're the ones fueling this kind of violence, blaming the BJP. And obviously the BJP is hit back. Let's first round up for you all the reactions coming in on the story.
Bombs hurled. Stones pelted. Mobs armed with sticks. Bengal is on edge once again, with 2 deaths being reported in the panchayat poll clashes. South 24 Parganas has been a hub of violence for the last few days, and the showdown between the TMC and political rival ISF has taken a shocking turn.
Bombing had happened, crude bombs were hurled over here. This is what it's being stated by the locals over here, the ISF workers over here. It's the 5th day of nominations, and yesterday there were reports of violence in Bhangar 1 in South 24 Parganas, in Bhangar 2 rather, in South 24 Parganas, and today we are here at Bhangar 1, where there has been numerous instances and reports of violence.
With the nomination dates coming to an end, there's an eerie silence now in Bhangar. But the political war of words rages on. CM Mamata Banerjee has pinned the blame on the ISF, claiming they triggered all the violence in the area.
ভাঙ্গরে ঘটনা তো কিছু গুন্ডা করেছে, আমাদের মারা গেছে আমার 2 জন সহকর্মী। ভাঙ্গরের ঘটনা তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস করেনি, 2টো ঘটনা ঘটেছে, আর তার জন্য কেন্দ্রীয় সরকার উঁচিয়ে বসেই আছে। ডান্ডা দিয়ে লোক পেটাও, গুলি দিয়ে মারো, সারা বাংলায় তোমরা সেন্ট্রাল ফোর্স নিয়ে এসো। আমি একটা চ্যালেঞ্জ করতে চাইছি আপনাকে, কোন রাজ্য আমাকে দেখান যে এত নমিনেশন পলিটিক্যাল পঞ্চায়েত যেখানে আছে, এত নমিনেশন কোন দিন এত শান্তিপূর্ণভাবে কেউ দিতে পেরেছে কিনা।
The clashes reminiscent of the violence Bengal witnessed after the assembly elections has the BJP fuming.
এখানে পুলিশ হচ্ছে, নাম হচ্ছে মমতা পুলিশ। ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গল পুলিশ, কলকাতা পুলিশ বলে কিছু নেই, এটার নাম মমতা পুলিশ। আমি নিজে সাফারার, বারে বারে হাইকোর্টের বেঞ্চ, সুপ্রিম কোর্ট সবাই পশ্চিমবঙ্গ পুলিশের উপরে অনাস্থা প্রকাশ করেছে। এই পুলিশ মমতা ব্যানার্জি আর তার ভাইপোর সেবাদান আর তোলাবাজি ছাড়ার কিচ্ছু জানে না।
The violence has sparked the far too familiar face-off between the BJP and TMC ahead of the July 8 elections.
भयंकर स्थिति है। जो वायलेंस चल रहा है, इस वायलेंस के अंडर इलेक्शन होना नामुमकिन है। सेंट्रल फोर्सेस की जरूरत है कि स्टेट इलेक्शन कमीशन बाईपास कर रही है कोर्ट के जजमेंट को, और बाईपास करके ना मानने की कोशिश कर रही है कुछ भी जो बात कोर्ट ने बोला है।
We have no headache in central forces. पब्लिक तृणमूल को वोट देंगे, लेकिन सेंट्रल फोर्स बंगाल में हो तो पूरा देश में लोकल इलेक्शन रूल चेंज करके भी होना चाहिए।
Bengal Governor Ananda Bose also visited the riot-hit areas and appealed to all to shun violence.
Assure the people of Bengal, violence will be the first victim in this election. Violence should die a silent death. Violence will be encountered by silence, in the sense those perpetrators of violence will be silenced in a permanent way under the constitution, under the law of the land.
These are the remaining vehicles which were vandalized, which were put to fire. Now this one, the smoke is still coming out of this particular vehicle. Locals, we spoke to them over here. They claimed that these vehicles which are lying over here, they are not from here, they are from Canning. They are saying that, these cars were brought in yesterday. With camera person Orgo, this is Suryagni Roy for India Today, Bhangar.
And let me bring in right now Suryagni Roy, who's joining us live from South 24 Parganas, from Bhangar, where in fact you've seen all of this violence playing out for the last many days. Suryagni, good evening. First, tell us what's the situation currently. We may be seeing this kind of political war of words, but what matters is the situation on ground. Has the violence kind of ebbed? Has it died down?
Well, Akshita, I have been going to Bhangar for the past 3 days, today being the third day consecutively ever since the violence, started. Thankfully, the situation looks way better than what I saw, yesterday. However, that particular bazaar and Bhangar, from where we were reporting yesterday, the walkthroughs that we showed our viewers of those cars, it looks like a graveyard of burnt vehicles. I have seen almost 4 to 5 vehicles, including bikes, which were completely torched yesterday when we were there, when we were, we fell in between the warring mobs. We had live visuals, our camera person had live visuals of how one individual just hurled a bomb towards the police and the media that was standing over there, and from there we ran for shelter. And when we went into the bazaar, ahead of us was a mob whose faces were completely, they were masked and had rods and different things which can be used as sharpeners for attacking. And behind us there also came a mob, and the police had to do something to make sure that the mob doesn't gets unruly and they start either pelting stones or hurling bombs at us. Thankfully we were able to get out of that zone yesterday. Today what we saw over there was, when we went with the governor, as I mentioned, it was a complete, it looks like a graveyard of vandalized and torched vehicles. Sadly, 2 people lost their lives at Bhangar in yesterday's clashes. Amidst all of this, when we spoke to people, a lot of people over there, they are skeptical about how the polling, will happen, because on the day of the polling,
the locals saying about what led to this violence. Who is behind this violence and who started the clashes? What are locals saying about that?
See, politically, what we need to understand over there is that Bhangar has become an ISF stronghold. Let's not forget that ISF, the Indian Secular Front, Akshita, the only constituency which they won was Bhangar. Naushad Siddiqui he won from there. That's the only seat they have, and that place has become a very, very stronghold of the ISF. The Trinamool Congress, which is extremely powerful, especially in South Bengal and in the adjoining areas and the districts or blocks around Bhangar. They want to capture that politically as well. Now, locals claim that, outsiders had come in. They showed us visuals of those burnt cars, which we even have, which were not from Bhangar. The locals over there, when we spoke today morning, they claimed on record that these are vehicles which came from Canning. And it was not something that it was not a local thing from Bhangar. So they claim that a lot of people came from outside. Now, who started this ruckus, who started this violence, and a fair investigation can only answer that particular question. But sadly, the past 3 days that we have seen in Bhangar, major violence, major ruckus. Sadly, 2 people lost their lives, of which one is a Trinamool Congress worker, one is an ISF worker, and the locals over there, they are very much skeptical on how the polling day will be, even with the fact that there will be central forces. So that is the ground situation of Bhangar that we have, like our team from India Today that we have been observing since the past 3 days, even today. Akshita.
All right, you got Suryagni getting us those updates. Thanks very much, Suryagni, for joining us on this broadcast. He's getting us a live update from South 24 Parganas, where we've been seeing constantly violence in the last few days. That was in the run-up to the nominations actually being filed. Now that that's taken place, let's see whether when polling happens on July 8th, things will be peaceful or not. But earlier in the day, you also had the West Bengal Governor CV Ananda Bose visiting some of the worst affected areas, sending out a message and an appeal for peace. Will there be a fair investigation into exactly what led to this violence? Well, that's a question, of course, that the administration really can answer at this point. But we don't have clarity on whether the government intends to go ahead and take that step in the first place. Mamata Banerjee so far has washed her hands off what's happened. But there's a trend here that needs to be spoken about when it comes to Bengal. Why is it that in every election season, pre and post-poll violence has become a norm of sorts in these particular parts? Why is it that every single time we'll see bombs being hurled, we'll see bullets being used, and these kind of mobs gathering in large numbers, targeting the state police as well? Remember, this time the Calcutta High Court has also intervened in this particular case, and they've also sought action. They've said that central forces must be deployed in these areas where tension has prevailed to ensure that there's no more violence that breaks out. But Mamata Banerjee has said categorically that TMC workers are not involved in any of the violence that's broken out, and that there are, in fact, according to her, 2 TMC workers who've also been casualties of the violence that's broken out in Bhangar. Are the updates that are coming in. We're going to be joined by our guests in just a bit, and we will in fact track the latest on the story. But there's also breaking news that's coming in right now that we're going to be putting out on our screens in just a brief moment about, in fact, the Bengal BJP chief shooting off a letter to Home Minister Amit Shah. Remember that central forces at this point have been deployed as per the orders of the Calcutta High Court, which Mamata Banerjee again has cried foul over. She's in fact questioned why there was a need for central forces to be deployed, in fact saying that the BJP just needs an excuse to go ahead and do that. And that's the big breaking that's coming in right now. The BJP Bengal president has shot off a letter right now to Home Minister Amit Shah, saying and highlighting that 2 people have been killed in Bhangar of South 24 Parganas. Another youth was fatally shot by miscreants in Uttar Dinajpur district. These incidents demonstrate the vulnerability of citizens. To ensure their safety and instill confidence, we must step in. I kindly request your immediate intervention. This is the message from Sukanta Majumdar to Home Minister Amit Shah. He's saying, I kindly request your immediate intervention and proactive measures to address the concerns in West Bengal. It's crucial to prioritize the safety of people and guarantee a fair and transparent election. Sukanta Majumdar has also gone on to say, I urge you to expedite the deployment of central forces as per the Calcutta High Court order to maintain law and order and to prevent any further incidents of violence or disruption. So this is in fact the big breaking news that's coming in. The BJP is seeking the central government's immediate intervention, particularly that of the MHA. Will Home Minister Amit Shah now intervene and seek a report from the state government? We'll have to wait and watch. But there's no doubt that if such a step is taken, it will lead once again to a war of words, as Mamata Banerjee has already repeatedly pinned the blame on, in fact, the BJP. In this case, she's blamed the ISF because remember that it is the Indian Secular Front that has a stronghold in this particular area of Bhangar in South 24 Parganas. So she's pinned the blame on them. Let me quickly get an answer from Suryagni on this. Politics heating up. Suryagni, tell us really what the Bengal BJP chief has said in his letter.
Well, he has written this letter to Home Minister Amit Shah, wherein he has claimed for immediate intervention. Now, as we have been, we broke this news a while back that the state government has gone for a review petition of the Calcutta High Court, wherein the High Court has stated yesterday itself that central forces should be, there should be a requisition by the state government in the next 48 hours of that particular order. So the state has gone for a review of that particular High Court order. Now, what happens at the court is something that, only time can tell us. However, the BJP president of Bengal, that is Dr. Shrikant Mazumdar, he has written to Union Home Minister. He has cited incidences where violence had erupted, and he has asked for immediate assistance to make sure that the law and order situation is completely under control. Now, the BJP has been claiming time and again, and especially in this letter, that the law and order situation under the state government is not really is not hunky-dory. And maybe that is the reason why they are extremely, they are challenging the fact that this review petition has been done. So he has written this particular letter to Amit Shah, giving him examples of where violence had erupted and how the central forces will be extremely helpful in, building confidence in people. And secondly, and most importantly, having a free and fair election. This is the letter that the BJP state president has written to Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Back to you.
With those details, I want to bring in now Mohammad Tausif Rahman of the TMC on this broadcast. Mr. Tausif Rahman, the BJP is questioning right now the TMC at this point on what's happened. And obviously there will be questions of the ruling government. Is this going to be the norm every poll season that we will see violence break out in Bengal?
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, we don't have a habit of cry over everything. I know this is the problem where the people of Bengal is asking those 18 MPs who got the mandate from Bengal. I mean, they always say that we got nothing from last 4 years. And now, it seems that the game of chronology is at play again. We all saw what happened during this year Ram Navami procession as well. How Suvendu Adhikari met the Home Minister Amit Shah on March 27 and the violence broke out in Bengal on March 30th. Now, again, this is a chronology you can say. Now, the same cycle, the State Election Commissioner announced the date of Panchayat election on June 8. The next day, Suvendu Adhikari went to Delhi, met Amit Shah in a closed-door meeting, and he wanted to decide what is going to happen.
So, if you know this, one second, Tausif Rahman, if you know that this is going to happen, shouldn't the government be doing something to preempt that there's violence? You seem to be suggesting that it happens.
Definitely.
So, what were the steps taken to prevent this violence?
We are not going to back out at all. Of course, we have to control everything and things will be in place, I assure you. But you have to understand that if you carry a TMC jhanda and you roam around West Bengal with a bomb in your hand and you say it has become a cottage industry of making a bomb production and everything, we are not going to accept that. Recently, we have seen Suvendu Adhikari in a breach of 144 order entered SEC office and then with other BJP leaders. They were also there. Is this responsible work of an opposition leader, ma'am? BJP Hooghly MP Loket Chatterjee wanted to enter the BDO office, where on duty police stopped her. She pushed everyone, ma'am, and entered the venue forcefully along with the armed bodyguards. Now you see, now these people want to go for PIL. It is not done what they are doing for the people of Bengal. This is not kind of election what we are looking for. And TMC in morning only, TMC one of the TMC cadre got killed. Now who's responsible for that? Is Mamata
Let's
Banerjee
get an answer.
doing
Let's
all
get an
that?
answer from the BJP. Dr. Shaturupa is joining us on this broadcast. You've heard, ma'am, what the TMC has to say, what Tausif Rahman is saying here. He's saying that there's a clear attempt by the BJP to incite violence, to provoke violence in parts of Bengal.
Yeah, I was in fact hearing what Tausif has to say, and he started off with one of my lines, which I was using all through the Vidhan Sabha elections, when I said that Trinamool is one very Chichkadune shortcut. Chichkadune means a crybaby. They're crying over almost everything. Now, he admits that he doesn't want to cry over everything. Notwithstanding that, there has been a series of violence from day one of nominations. And this violence, nowhere can you accuse BJP of doing this, because most often it has been either Trinamool versus Trinamool, or it has been Trinamool versus ISF most of the time. Now, although we have had maximum number of nominations, Trinamool behaves as if they have done us a favor by allowing us the maximum number of nominations. Today, let me tell you, it is a fact that we have given almost 55,000 nominations, which was absolutely unthinkable considering the last 5 years. I mean, compared to the last 5 years.
So these nominations have been filed? Because the BJP in Bengal was saying that they're not being allowed to file these nominations.
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
I am just, let me complete, Akshita. We have filed, but there have been many more filings that we could have done. In Canning, our papers were torn. There have been, our candidates are being threatened already to withdraw the nomination. And this is just 55,000 nominations out of almost 130,000 applications, which should have already happened.
Okay, so you're saying it should have been a lot more.
Free. No,
You're saying it would have been a lot more. Okay, let me give the TMC, let me give Tausif Rahman a chance to respond. Tausif, a point that Shaturupa is making here is that if you look at what's happening in Bhangar, of the violence that's happened, it was largely the ISF and the TMC involved. Mamata Banerjee herself in her speech today said there is the ISF involved. So why are you pinning the blame on the BJP then?
No, again, it is all about contesting or not contesting. Well, Dr. Shaturupa just raised the question that we are not being able to do anything. But again, they have filled all the nomination. Now the opposition parties are complaining of the opposition, ma'am, you're complaining about 20,000, and I'll tell you, don't worry. The opposition parties are complaining about 20,000 uncontested seat, right? Then why there is no civil complaint? If you have an allegation, then go and file a civil petition.
One second, one at a time. One at a time, please. One at a time. Dr. Shaturupa, I'll give you a chance to respond.
Shaturupa ji, I am telling you, being a TMC spokesperson, go and file a petition. PIL should be research and oriented, but pleading in petition filed by Suvendu Adhikari are vague. We are not going to do that. There is no specific government and newspaper report have not evidently value. You have to understand that. That's why I'm being slow to you. You have to understand what we are explaining you. Either your party has not informed you what is happening, or you are just making stories sitting on national television, a channel like India Today.
I'm sorry. I refuse to accept
Even I want an answer.
I refuse to accept this, Tausif. I am not only a spokesperson on national television from my party, I am also an integral part of the election of the delegation which goes to the State Election Commission. So I know very well the number. 1 minute. Thank you for my.
No, let him answer. Let her answer, please, Tausif.
Yeah. You see, now, based on that, I know the number of civil complaints that have been made to the police, the number of court cases that have been already filed, entire copy is with the State Election Commission. And obviously, I don't have a set right now. But if India Today wants, if Trinamool wants to see it, we can make it public. That's not an issue. In fact, State Election Commission, which is completely under them, Rajiv Sinha, who almost barks at their orders, so he can always show whatever civil complaints. So this is a complete waste of time. I just want to say
that's a big charge. That's a big charge, Dr. Shaturupa.
Huge charge, and I'm making it.
You're backing it,
and I'm making it.
No, you can put any charge you want.
I will corroborate this.
You can put any charge, whatever you want. We are not going to cry over any fault. That's okay. But when the time comes,
let Tausif respond now.
No, ma'am. Let's talk about ISF, because you are supporting ISF as well. Today ISF workers attacked the house of Trinamool worker in Chatlab area. It is so upsetting. The All India Trinamool worker named Kutubuddin Ali Mullah was present in Bhangar 2 BDO office, and we have seen some BJP leaders as well in that BDO office during the nomination of the submission process. Now the leader was also present at the spot. Upon the return, ma'am, please hear me. Upon the return of home, the Trinamool leader, his house was attacked by the ISF workers and BJP leaders as well. Do you have any say on this?
No, so you're saying ISF and BJP are together. Are you saying ISF and BJP are together in perpetrating this violence?
Working together. Of course. This is where Suvendu Adhikari shouting since morning that Amaderke kichu korte dicche na, Naushad Siddiqui, amar choto bhai, that he's a small brother, he is being targeted. So please come forward and say that BJP and ISF is working together. So we shall fight them as well. But you are provoking the national media and you want to try a media trial, this is not going to happen in Bengal, ma'am. Now in the screen, what you are seeing, those guys wearing
comments,
helmets.
I see that. Will there be a fair investigation is the question. We've seen pre-poll violence, we've seen post-poll violence. What's emerged from those investigations will be a question that's asked of your administration, Tausif. I'll come to you, ma'am. Tausif, respond.
Of course, ma'am. Of course, your points and question is totally agreeable. We have to agree on that because the Chief Minister of Bengal doesn't take care only about its TMC workers. She have to take care about the BJP workers, ISF workers, Congress workers and everyone. But again, she's not doing a favor at all. It's a democratic right to file nomination. And who's stepping back with this? It's a democratic right. So again, if we say that the safety is under Trinamool Congress government, so again, Dr. Shatrupa say, are you doing a favor?
But hasn't, one second. Like Tausif, I'm glad you made the comment. I'm glad you made a comment that Mamata Banerjee stands for every single citizen of Bengal, of everyone who lives in Bengal. In the statements that she's made today, it's only been about defending the TMC, saying they have no role in the violence.
Of course, ma'am, of course. I don't want to say yes. Why should we do all this when we are already winning the panchayat poll?
Because that's your habit.
Why should we do this berserk happening things? Why should I malign my own image like what BJP is doing from last 10 years in Bengal? Our people is with us. They're gonna vote for us. So what is the problem, Dr. Shatrupa? You need to answer that. If you don't have members, if you don't have cadres in your city, cadres in your state, that is your problem. That you are going backward.
Final comment, Dr. Shatrupa, final comment from you in response to Tausif.
I have always admired Tausif's fertile imagination, but today he's kind of outdone himself. Firstly, he says that after accusing us years together that we are a communal party and we do not like Muslims, we're out to hit them, kill them and throw them out.
I never said you don't like Muslims.
That is what... You don't,
your party does. You don't like Muslims.
Your party does.
Why are you bringing Muslims?
Please give me time.
I never said.
Okay, one second.
This is Akshita, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you give me time to talk, please, uninterrupted? So this is a completely, volte-face of Trinamool. Now they're saying that we are aligned with ISF. BJP is the world's largest party. BJP does not need to align itself with another party to create violence in a state, because if you notice the entire track record of BJP all over India, nowhere, whether we've lost, whether we won, whether we've continued the same government, we have never believed in violence. That is number one. And as far as the Chief Minister's comment is concerned, the Chief Minister does not think beyond her party cadres. She's a very loving minister, very loving person towards only her own party cadres, which also has I don't want to get into the details. As far as this bombing and ISF and violence is concerned, it has been continuing unabated. I am repeating, it has been continuing unabated continuously for the last number of days, when they have been, the national media talking about violence in West Bengal. How can you
I've run out of time.
Last line I just want to make, because Tausif has continuously been interrupting me. The last line I want to make is, they are not, even if it's ISF, if it is whoever, they're not being able to identify what is the state police doing. The state police has been saying...
Okay, I'm going to... I have 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds to TMC. 5 to 10 seconds, Tausif, to respond, and I'm going to wrap this up.
Shatrupa ji, I'll tell you something. An exemplary example of brotherhood was seen during the nomination of submission Paschim Bardhaman, Solapur. Now, outside the nomination center, Trinamool workers welcomed the opposition candidates to nomination center by handing them roses, water bottle and serving tea. Do you have any idea about that? You don't know.
No, I have not seen.
What you are seeing with Suvendu Adhikari is creating a havoc in Bengal. You are not seeing how TMC is welcoming BJP submissions. You need to know that, ma'am. Bengal is a place.
I really don't know. This is news to me.
Has been spread.
Okay, this will go on and on. I have run out of time. I've given both of you a fair amount of time to put your view forward, but thank you, Dr. Shatrupa, and thanks, Tausif Rahman, for joining us here on India Today. The TMC and BJP pinning the blame on each other other for the violence. But at the end of the day, there must be answers on why every single time during election season, you see Bengal on edge. You see these kind of incidents of violence being reported from one district to another. We're going to continue getting you the latest on that. On the other side of a quick break here on 6 p.m. Prime, we're focusing on what's happening in Tamil Nadu, the showdown between the government and the governor. Also joining me in just a few moments is the Tamil Nadu BJP chief Annamalai as he responds to Chief Minister Stalin's fiery counter at the BJP yesterday.
Most credible ranking of India's best B schools is back in an all-new avatar, bigger and better than before. Catch the 2023 listings of MBA programs, technology companies, and the top executive courses. Don't miss the 24th edition of the Business Today Best B Schools and HR Summit on 23rd June in New Delhi.
As a child, Nirma always said she wanted to be a doctor. She is now one step closer to fulfilling her ambition. Nirma from Fidod village in Nagaur, Rajasthan has secured 111th rank in NEET. Her father, Mojiram Meghwal, a farm labourer, and her mother sent their daughter to a private school and later to a coaching centre despite all their hardships to ensure Nirma can realise her potential.
सबसे पहले अपने पापा के बारे में सोचती कि वो कैसे मेहनत करके मुझे पढ़ा रहे हैं और कितने दिन पूरे दिन मेहनत करते हैं और इस मेहनत करके पढ़ाते हैं. रोज़ आना जाना करते थे, छोड़ते थे इतने किलोमीटर दूर से.
3 लड़का 5 लड़का एक बारे में गए स्थिति थोड़ी और सुधार हुई पढ़ाई.
Misbah Anwar Khan, daughter of a cycle mechanic who fixes punctures, has got 633 marks out of 720 in NEET, qualifying for admission in a medical college. The student from Jalna gives credit for success to God, her parents, teachers and the coaching center tutor.
मैं शुक्रिया अदा करूंगी अपने तमाम असातिज़ा इकराम का, ख़ास तौर पर अंकुश सर का, जिनके पास मैंने नीट की तालीम हासिल की है. नीट में पहले 2 साल में सर के पास में स्कीम में पढ़ी हूँ और फिर मेरा रिपीट भी सर ने पूरा फ्री लिए.
PSSC नाम की एक स्कीम चलाता हूँ जिसमें अपने समाज में जो भी गरीब और होदकरू स्टूडेंट है, ऐसे हर साल 180 स्टूडेंट को हम फ्री एजुकेशन देते हैं. और इस फ्री एजुकेशन में की वो स्टूडेंट थी मिसबा खान नाम की, जिसने इस साल नीट 2023 में 633 मार्क्स लिए आउट ऑफ 720. और मेन बात है कि जब वो 11th में मेरे पास आई थी पिताजी के साथ, तो मुझे पता चला कि उसके पिताजी के मुंह से कि वो पंचर की दुकान पे काम करती है.
Misbah's father, who earns 6,000 rupees a month, says he was motivated by teachers to pursue his daughter's education.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. बच्ची की भी ख्वाहिश थी, बच्ची बचपन से पूछता था बेटे आगे चल के क्या बनेगी, तो बोलती थी डॉक्टर नहीं तो कलेक्टर. तब मैंने उसको फिर उर्दू स्कूल से डाला. इंग्लिश स्कूल से तो हम पढ़ा नहीं सकते थे, हम गरीब लोग, तो उर्दू स्कूल से पढ़ती हुई बच्ची ने टॉप करी सर.
The Urdu school where Misbah studied is proud of her achievement. Misbah wants to pay back to society all the help she got by mentoring kids in the future.
हमें भी समाज के लिए एक अच्छा डॉक्टर बनना है और समाज को जो है तो अच्छे से वो करना है, सबका ख्याल रखना है. और आगे चल के जिस तरह सर ने हमारा सपोर्ट किया है, हमें एक इंसान का तो भी अडॉप्ट कर मतलब एक इंसान को पढ़ाई करानी है और वो हम करेंगे ज़रूर इंशाल्लाह.
ब्यूरो रिपोर्ट, इंडिया टुडे.
such launches are you expecting for this fiscal, or could you give us a sense of the next 1 or 2 years?
We've already, talked about bringing in almost a launch every quarter. So this is the first. We're going to see some more.
Right, absolutely. So, with premiumization also comes the need for infrastructure upgrade at Hero Motocorp dealership level, at the ground level as well. So, what are the plans there, sir?
Well, these beauties need a new house.
Of course.
Yeah, so we're going to open 100 premium stores, exclusive stores for our premium products over the next 4 quarters. So we're on that path. We're very, very excited. Our dealers are also very excited about that.
Also, if you're talking about premiumization, one cannot absolutely ignore the fact that Harley is coming up from the Heroes stable. So give us a sense when it's coming on road, and how much volumes will the Extreme and the Harley's X440 add?
So there's going to be a lot of excitement, I can tell you that.
Okay.
Today we're talking about the Extreme,
All right.
and very soon we'll be talking about other stuff as well.
Right. So also my last questions, what is the focus and the plan for the entry-level vehicles? Is Hero simultaneously focusing on the entry-level, the 125cc segment as well, along with the 160 plus cc segment?
Sure. When you think about Hero at the entry commuter side of the business, we're at about 70-80% market share, and therefore getting a couple of points market share is not, there's not much joy in that. What we are looking at is to grow the category, expand the category, invite more consumers as first-time buyers to come in. And we're doing a lot of work with our dealers to be able to get more customers and expand the two-wheeler category.
But as the Chief Growth Officer, are you not concerned, sir, that the sales for rural two-wheelers is almost on a decline constantly, with electric vehicles also coming up into this space? So does that worry you, or the bullish trend will continue for Hero Motocorp?
We recently launched the Super Splendor X-Tech, which is 125cc, and we're seeing across the board success and uptake in rural as well as in urban. We are seeing Splendor as very strong. HF Deluxe continues to be strong. So we definitely see more and more consumers. Just remember, we've come out of 2 years of COVID. So this is the time when the economy is coming back. There are lots of positive green shoots that we are seeing. And definitely it augurs well for the two-wheeler industry.
Quality today. In Delhi, 99. In Mumbai, 66. In Kolkata, 114. In Bangalore, 44. In Chennai, 110. In Hyderabad, 68.
Welcome back. Let's get you the latest showdown between the Tamil Nadu government and the governor. Governor R.N. Ravi has not agreed to Senthil Balaji continuing any longer as a member of the Council of Ministers, considering that he's facing criminal proceedings and is currently in judicial custody. His portfolios have been reallocated to other ministers. The Electricity Department has been given to Thangamthen Arasu, who is currently also the Finance Minister of the state. The Excise Department has been allotted to Minister Muthuswamy. So the reallocation has been done. Remember, the Chief Minister Stalin had written to the governor about this. The governor had returned to the file questioning the reason mentioned in the file because it didn't talk about the ED case, and now you've got the governor saying he cannot be a part of the Council of Ministers. Now, yesterday, we saw Chief Minister M.K. Stalin in a fiery video statement lashing out at the BJP over the arrest of Senthil Balaji, calling all of it a political conspiracy and even warning the BJP, saying, "Don't provoke us, take us on electorally and only in that manner. I've spoken to Tamil Nadu BJP chief Annamalai on this earlier. Here's his response. The state of Tamil Nadu has been rocked by the arrest of DMK Minister Senthil Balaji and all the subsequent drama as well as political drama that's broken out thereafter. You finally had Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin releasing a detailed video statement where he called all of this nothing but a political conspiracy where central agencies are being misused by the BJP. And to respond to Mr. Stalin, we have Tamil Nadu BJP Chief Mr. Annamalai joining us here on the broadcast. Annamalai, good afternoon. Vanakkam. Thank you for joining us here on India Today. Yesterday, you had Mr. Stalin warning the BJP, saying don't provoke the DMK, don't provoke us. What's your response to that message from Mr. Stalin?
We issued a very detailed statement today morning on behalf of our party. We didn't expect the Chief Minister of a state to use the language that he was using yesterday. In Tamil, the words that you use is touch me and see, provoke me and see. So these are all in a stage, second level speakers in a political party, especially from DMK. That is the kind of language. The CM of a state, that to a state like Tamil Nadu, using this language is absolutely not right. And more importantly, our Chief Minister has got an assembly experience of 30 years inside. And DMK is a very old political party founded in 1949. And the president of the party, Mr. M.K. Stalin, using this kind of words and threatening. And second, Madam, I would take you back a couple of weeks also, because for the first time when the IRS officers went to Karur, income tax people, to raid the Senthil Balaji and his associates' house, especially his brother's building that is being built at a cost of 300 crore there. And the IRS officers were assaulted. 4 officers were assaulted. They were in ICU for 4 days in Karur. And the Chief Minister did not give a single condemnation statement. And now the CM talking about the ED coming into Tamil Nadu, especially into the Secretariat, entering into Senthil Balaji's chamber. And the CM states it is an affront of federal democracy. The same Chief Minister in 2016 December, when income tax people entered the Assembly Secretariat to search the then Chief Secretary's chamber, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu welcomed it. In fact, the exact words he used is, though the income tax comes under the central government, but it has got a separate statute and separate officers. If they are coming to Chief Secretary's office, there must be some incriminating documents inside. He was the opposition leader then. And suddenly, 7 years later, is changing his tune and ED doing its job by going to Mr. Senthil Balaji's chamber, calling this as an affront of federal democracy. Yesterday also in the video he mentioned. So that was an uncalled for video. And definitely has brought down the stature of the Chief Minister's role by the way he's behaving in the last 2-3 days, madam.
You know, that's a allegation that he's leveling essentially, because he's saying, and you get that sense that he's very angry and miffed with all that's happened. And largely every single opposition leader right now, Annamalai, when raising this issue, have only one question. They say, when was the last time a central agency like the Enforcement Directorate actually raided a BJP leader? Why is it only leaders of the opposition parties who are constantly facing these kind of raids?
It is very clear that wherever the ED is acting, there is a prima facie a case against those people. It is not that ED is raiding anybody simply because they are on the opposition side. When Aam Aadmi Party, Satyendra Jain, Manish Sisodiya, and different political leaders across India, and they have committed a mistake, it has gone to different courts of law for bail petition, prima facie something is found, only then ED is acting. At least in this case, I would clearly explain this case is the 2014 case. 2018, a charge sheet was filed against Mr. Senthil Balaji. And then Supreme Court in the last 6 months have given 2 separate judgments on the same case, simply going after the Tamil Nadu police of not booking Senthil Balaji under Prevention of Corruption Act, PCA. And in the last judgment 2 weeks back, Supreme Court has warned the Tamil Nadu police in 2 months' time, if they are not invoking PCA against Senthil Balaji in the same case, it is going to constitute an SIT. So every case has got a locus standi, it has got a brief profile of its own. At least in this case, it's a Supreme Court mandated investigation. ED was acting even in 2019, 2020. The action by ED was stayed by Mr. Senthil Balaji in the Chennai High Court, which got vacated recently. So ED is acting now, and political parties are ascribing motives, and simply because they are in the opposition, I don't think it's a correct statement. Instead, they can speak their innocence. With respect to BJP also, nobody stops the ED from not acting on a BJP leader. If at all the ED has found some document, nobody is stopping it. It's a pretty independent agency. Who's stopping ED from taking action against any leader, madam?
But in light of what's happened and with Mr. Stalin speaking the way he is currently, do you ever see, Annamalai, a stand being taken against Senthil Balaji by the DMK? Because, it's curious how this case has panned out, considering Senthil Balaji was someone who was part of the AIADMK, shifted to the DMK. This is an AIADMK era scam, and yet you have MK Stalin defending him, the AIADMK lashing out at Senthil Balaji.
Madam, the current Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Sri M.K. Stalin, when he was the opposition leader on 18th April 2016, he was in Karur, Kulithalai, Senthil Balaji's hometown. There in front of a huge public, he mentioned the same Tamil Nadu Transport Corporation conductor and mechanic scam, cash for job scam. He mentioned Senthil Balaji, action has to be taken against him, is the number one accused. Same case he mentioned 18th April 2016. There is a video which I tweeted also.
Yes.
Now, 7 months later, just because Senthil Balaji has joined DMK in 2018, 7 months later, he calls him innocent. We don't understand, madam. And especially when the Supreme Court has directed the Tamil Nadu police, Tamil Nadu, we don't have a home minister, the chief minister is the de facto home minister also. And the Supreme Court has directed the Tamil Nadu police to book Senthil Balaji specifically under Prevention of Corruption Act in this particular case, because the local police did not charge him for PCA, they charged him for cheating. And so many things are happening. The Chief Minister was supposed to protect the rule of law, who's supposed to stand for correct moral compass. He has simply gone wayward. He is simply supporting Senthil Balaji.
But why do you think there is? Why do you think there is such blatant support for Senthil Balaji? If it's a Supreme Court mandated investigation, the law is in favor of the Enforcement Directorate, there are serious allegations against him. Why to you, Annamalai, do you think that Stalin is going out of his way to defend Senthil Balaji today?
I would say, madam, in the present cabinet, Mr. Senthil Balaji is as powerful as the Chief Minister because he mobilizes the money for the whole party. In fact, they call him the de facto treasurer of everything, what is happening inside. We are talking of 2014. We are not talking about 2022-23, the corruption in Tasmak, the corruption in coal, the corruption in electricity. That is for a different day, a different case. Now, the kind of money he has mobilized for the party, it has made him invincible for DMK. That is why you see the whole cabinet is in the hospital. 2 days back when he was arrested late in the night, Chief Minister himself visiting him in the hospital ICU, along with him more than 20 ministers visiting, the Chief Minister's son who happens to be a minister visiting, the Chief Minister's son-in-law who doesn't have any connection to the government, he visiting, which clearly portrays for us that Senthil Balaji is more like a family to CM because he's deeply entrenched him into the first family in Gopalabram. That is why. So the CM in no way is going to let down him. And second, he is also using, yesterday you must have seen, the State Human Rights Commission is being misused. The State Human Rights Commission, it has gone and visited Senthil Balaji, and today it is planning to summon the ED officials who have implicated Senthil Balaji because the State Human Rights Commission is saying that Senthil Balaji was tortured. See, madam, nowhere it has happened in India. The IRS officers assaulted in Karur. CM till now hasn't spoken about it. Now, this is a state. For CM, it looks like he wants his family. He wants to protect one person, not the 8.5 crore Tamil Nadu population, which is looking up to the Chief Minister because he's an elected person.
Senthil Balaji's arrest, the investigation against him is often being deemed as an Annamalai impact, as this being your second wicket after Parnivil Tyagarajan. Would you agree with that kind of a notion or a narrative?
I don't agree at all, madam. I'm a small person doing a job. The only thing is I vociferously speak corruption in Tamil Nadu. I vociferously speak. So I keep speaking against all of them. So it just so happened when action is being taken that people are connecting me to them. So I don't have anything to do with it. I keep talking. Not only Senthil Balaji, again, 11, 12 people have spoken and people have summoned me to court. People have filed defamation cases against me. At the last court, more than 1,400 crore worth of defamation is filed against me in different courts of Tamil Nadu. So I keep speaking. So nobody in Tamil Nadu speaks. That is very unfortunate. In a political democracy, especially in Tamil Nadu, our politicians have taken corruption as a way of life. So when I speak and BJP speaks, many of the BJP leaders speak, they are attributing whatever action. It is an independent action taken by an independent agency. And this is not a cause for celebration. Senthil Balaji is just a name. Likewise, our whole aim that the agency should go after every single person who is corrupt. Clean the state of corruption. Bring some kind of a notional justice at least to people who can say, oh, Tamil Nadu is finally getting out of corruption. That is what we look forward to.
And you've been raising the issue of corruption. As you pointed out, it's been a costly fight for you essentially because you've got defamation cases. And when you spoke also recently about the history of corruption in Tamil Nadu and how deeply entrenched it's been in Tamil Nadu politics, Annamalai, it's also proved costly for you with your ties with your ally as well, with the AIADMK. So are you now kind of having to backtrack on this corruption fight?
Well, we have to understand that especially when you take corruption, you have to build a movement, madam, and it has to sink in people's mind. And politically, we can keep talking and people can accuse me and it will go nowhere, madam. End of the day, our job as BJP or my job as BJP state president is to make sure that it becomes a movement. You build a movement out of corruption. A common man finally says, yes, I am fed up of corruption. There is somebody who is raising an issue, I am going to support them. And whatever I spoke about, something also which got misinterpreted in the Tamil local media also. I hold Madam Jayalalitha in very, very high esteem. On multiple levels I've spoken about Madam's governance and everything. So it's a very thin line you walk, especially in a coalition when you speak. It's always a thin line. So end of the day, I am a party president of a national party, BJP. And finally we are seeing Prime Minister Modi ji's rule, especially in Tamil Nadu, it has reached every person's heart, breaking all the brevity and fake narratives. And to 2024, we are very clear, the vote that is opposing DMK should not get split. It has to come in one shot to Modi ji. And when Modi ji comes with 400 MPs, we are very clear from Tamil Nadu, we have to contribute at least 25 to it. It's a very fine, thin line we are walking. But the fight against corruption is on. So you said it, I've paid a very heavy personal price also. But that is why I've come into politics, madam. That is, the Modi ji has inspired me to come into politics because somebody has to speak. And I'm speaking. At times I pay a price also here and there, but it's a fight. It's a long fight. I get my bruise. Somebody beats me. I also get blood on my body. But in politics, what counts is the last person who's standing counts. I hope to be the last person who's standing there.
You're right in saying it's a tightrope walk, but I'm going to grill you a bit more on this because you're saying it's a tightrope walk. There are serious allegations of corruption against the AIADMK. Senthil Balaji himself is accused in an AIADMK era scam. So is the BJP kind of being hypocritical when they ally with an AIADMK which has several leaders who face corruption charges, and at the same time you take on the DMK on this?
Madam, with respect to Senthil Balaji, I'll clarify, madam. It's a 2014 case, you are right. The same ADMK government in 2018 only, they filed an FIR against Senthil Balaji. In the same ADMK government, a charge sheet was filed against Mr. Senthil Balaji. By the time the ED came in, it was in 2019. So there is a flow. It is not that the ED or IT or anybody, they looked at which party he is. For ED and IT to act, there should be a semblance of some kind of something in the state police that is doing some basic homework. That homework happened in 2018. 2018 only the charge sheet got filed very quickly. Then 2019 ED came in because they found some money laundering. Then it got stayed in Chennai High Court. So all I can say in Senthil Balaji's case, at least, it is not that politics was looked into it or which party he belongs to. It's a sequence of flow. Right from the FIR registration, it's a sequence of flow because the moment the complainant came outside, the FIR was registered. Looking at the facts of the case, even the Supreme Court affidavit, the complainants have come forward only in 2018. The complainants have come. At first shot, some 13 complainants came. They said, we paid money, we didn't get job in Tamil Nadu Transport Corporation, please take action. At least in this case, no politics is involved. And I believe, especially Modi ji, especially BJP as a party, we are against corruption everywhere too. Not that we are trying to protect anybody.
Okay. All right. Annamalai, thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. We'll await a reaction from the DMK, but you've in fact sent out a clear message to MK Stalin that there's no point blaming the BJP or calling this a political conspiracy, that this was coming their way, considering the serious allegations against Senthil Balaji. Thank you very much for joining us here on India Today.
Welcome.
That's all we have time for in this edition of 6 p.m. Prime. Thanks very much for tuning in, but don't go anywhere. Coming up on the other side is an extremely interesting episode of Democratic Newsroom.
These lethal long-endurance, medium-altitude drones may soon be the new weapons in the arsenal of the Indian Armed Forces. The Defence Acquisition Council on Thursday gave its nod for the acquisition of the Sea Guardian drones. The Army, the Navy and the Air Force are looking at 10 drones each. The Indian Navy has already leased 2 MQ-9 Sea Guardians, the naval version of the drones, for intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance operations since 2020.
ये जो डील है ये हमारे देश की मैरीटाइम और ओवरऑल सिक्योरिटी के लिए बहुत ही ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि सर्वेलेंस सबसे ज़्यादा महत्वपूर्ण स्थान रखता है, क्योंकि हमें चाहिए कि हम अपनी एरिया में जहाँ एरिया ऑफ ऑपरेशंस है वहाँ निगरानी रख सकें, और ये क्षमता इस कैपेबिलिटी से हमें मिलती है.
The MQ-9A Reaper drones were used for the precision targeting of Al-Qaeda chief Ayman al-Zawahiri in Kabul. These unmanned combat aerial vehicles, apart from a number of sensors, cameras and radars, are also capable of carrying 4 Hellfire missiles for precision targeting of high-value targets. Both the Army and the Air Force are looking at these drones for high-risk operations to destroy strategic assets of the adversary without risking the lives of pilots. These hunter-killer drones can carry 4 Hellfire missiles. They're also capable of carrying 2 laser-guided bombs and 2 joint-action JDAMs. These drones can fly at an altitude of 40,000 feet and remain airborne for over 36 hours. They're also capable of loitering in the sky, scanning the ground below for the enemy. The MQ-9B Sea Guardian drones come with both maritime surveillance, reconnaissance and anti-submarine warfare capabilities. The drones are capable of providing over-the-horizon surveillance and reconnaissance support both to warships and surface units. With increased Chinese presence in the Indian Ocean region, coupled with Chinese aggression along the LAC, these UCAVs will help keep an eye on the adversary both in the Himalayas and in the Indian Ocean region, and take out strategic targets when needed. Bureau Report, India Today.
Nearly 15,000 government employees in Himachal Pradesh are yet to receive their salaries for May. Of them, 11,000 are from Himachal Road Transport Corporation. Employees claim their salaries are usually credited into their account by first week of the month.
परिवहन निगम के जो कर्मचारी दिन रात काम करने वाले हैं, और हमने जो है 0 डिग्री टेम्परेचर से लेके हमारा चालक परिचालक शुरू करता है और प्लस 43 डिग्री तक वो काम करता है, उसके बावजूद उनको सैलरी ना मिलना एक बहुत ही दुखदाई पहलू है.
The delay in payment of salary is causing anger and anxiety among the government workers.
हमारे अधिकतर ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में बसी जाती है, वहाँ पे चालक परिचालक रहते हैं और रात को खाना खाते हैं, तो कई कुछ कर्मचारी तो वहाँ भी खाते लगाए रखे हैं कि उधार ही खाना खिलाओ हमारे को और जब पेमेंट आएगी तो अब दे देंगे. अब तो वो भी खाना खिलाने के लिए मना कर रहे हैं कि आपकी वेतन तो आ नहीं रहा है, पता नहीं कब देंगे कब नहीं देंगे. तो हम चाहते हैं सरकार से कि कम से कम हमारी समस्या को देखते हुए हमारा वेतन तो दे कम से कम समय पे.
The employees of HRTC are warning they will launch protest if the salaries are delayed further.
लगभग 11,000 HRTC के कर्मचारियों को और 8,000 पेंशनर्स को आज तक
Good evening, you're watching our democratic newsroom where all of us have once again come together to discuss one hot button topic, and this time around it is the Uniform Civil Code. The 22nd Law Commission has invited opinion suggestions from religious groups and other stakeholders on what they think of one law, one nation. What does it really mean away from the politics? Of course, we're going to bring in the politics in it as well. But what does a uniform civil code mean? What are the legal contours of it? What are we looking at? And ultimately, is India actually ready for the Uniform Civil Code? I want to quickly introduce you to our panelists this evening. I have with me, starting from the right, Akshita, my colleague, as well as Nalini, who's going to give us the legal perspective on this, Gaurav Sawant, Nabila, Jamal, and Anisha. Let's start with our legal team first. So, Nalini, what do you make of it? The 22nd Law Commission inviting opinion. You know, as much as the matter is political, it's also deeply social, ingrained in India's fabric or narrative of, religion, polarity, all of that comes into the picture. But explain on what's the current context or why we are once again talking about the UCC.
Well, Preeti, at the very outset, first let me say that the debate is not about whether or not the Uniform Civil Code is a good thing or a bad thing. Of course, it's a good thing. That's why it's a part of the Constitution. That's why it's part of the Directive Principles of State Policy. Thank you. So for that very reason, it needs to be understood that what we are debating today is India ready for a Uniform Civil Code, which has been the debate since 1948, since the time of the Constituent Assembly when our Constitution was still being drafted. And contrary to what you said, I don't think the issue is neither political nor social. I think the issue is first legal. True. And the problem why I think, and my opinion is very clear, that India, in my opinion, is not ready for a Uniform Civil Code. And the reason for that is because the issue is being made political. Now, the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is put it as part of its manifesto.
Since 98.
Yes, which is so gung-ho today about a Uniform Civil Code, is the same Bharatiya Janata Party that back in 1950 was opposing the codification of Hindu laws. And the Congress Party that is today against the Uniform Civil Code is the same Congress Party that put us 10 steps back after the Shah Bano judgment. True. When they brought in the protection, ironically, of Muslim Women from Divorce Act. So keeping that in mind, politicians should not be given the job to decide as to whether or not the Uniform Civil Code should be brought into the country, is my opinion at the very first.
All right, let's get another legal opinion. Go ahead. Anisha wants to make a point.
Adding to what Nalini said, this issue is not really political as much as it is social, and we also need to look at it from a social and, if I may use the word here, a feminist perspective. Because remember, the question is about giving equal rights to all citizens, giving equal chance to all citizens. When we are looking at the question of a uniform civil code, what are we really looking at? And that is what we need to see. We're looking at marriage laws, divorce laws, inheritance, succession, adoption, guardianship. At the moment, as the laws stand, none of the religions in the country are particularly happy giving equal status to their daughters, to their daughters-in-law. We've had multiple Supreme Court judgments, we've had multiple amendments, which have sort of pushed for an equal status in law. If you stop looking at it from a religion-specific perspective, look at it from the legal and social point of view. It took a Supreme Court judgment in 2020 to say, even in Hindu law, which had co-partnership rights, give it to your daughter.
No, okay. That's exactly the way I look at it, because politics be damned, even though it's been part of politics, whether we like it or not, ever since it became a part of a manifesto of a political party. For me, I look at it, Gaurav, from a very basic level. If we have the gumption to take down Article 370 in Kashmir, then when it comes down to gender equality, I want the Uniform Civil Code, because I think every woman deserves an equal chance in this country.
You know, if we are truly secular, as a state, then it's not religious laws that should govern any citizen. It should be the law passed by Parliament of India. And look, let's just break this down. What does this mean? A Hindu a Christian or a Sikh can be prosecuted for having 4 marriages which are permitted for a Muslim. What do we want in our society? Do we want a society where everyone's equal, governed by the same laws? Or in 21st century India, we want religion-specific discriminatory laws, even if it is,
you know,
by the way,
polygamy and polyandry.
You know,
it's
exactly.
not just Muslims. So this is precisely my problem. The precise problem the government versus Muslims, right? It's almost looking like as if it's targeting one community, because you raised exactly that. You exactly raised polygamy, which is also a problem with that is it is not just about bigamy. Okay, let's go one by one. If this wasn't about religion, then I'm all for it.
Okay, let's go one by one. Okay, Gaurav, Nabila, let him make a point.
1 year ahead of 2024.
Okay, Gaurav, complete your comment.
I am so sorry that, you know, we are in a panel with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women. 5 women, and we are saying that we are not ready for... She said, this is not the right time. Hold on. You can outshout me, I'm sure. Well, there are 5.
Let's not outshout anybody.
Okay, one by one, let's go one by one.
How many women are in corporates in India? You tell me that. How many women are in CEO positions in India? How many women are actually empowered?
You know what? Let's not have this.
What is the government doing?
Okay, 1 second, let's do one by one because nobody can hear anything. Gaurav, quickly make your point.
Gaurav, why don't you point out?
Nabila, let him make her point.
What is the government doing?
Nabila, let him make his point, and then we'll come.
No, what I don't approve of, if saying that one religion is allowed, why not the others? These are prosecuted, Muslims are not. I mean, let's get.
It's not about Muslims.
That kind of
remember the fact that
if it is about marriage, if it is about inheritance, if you look at
from that anti-Muslim rhetoric.
Great, go ahead, Gaurav.
Okay.
As anchors, at least.
Okay, if I'm permitted to just complete my point.
Make your point.
It was in 1791 that a French feminist, Olympe de Gouges, in 1791, she was fighting for rights of women to be able to get a divorce, for women to have equal rights. In 1791, she won it. 1792 in France. We are in 2023 in India, and we don't want the same equal rights for women.
Nabila, go ahead. If
you do, then let us. Okay, permit me to complete my point.
You made it
20 seconds. Give me 20 seconds to complete my point.
Nabila,
okay, I am sorry. So let a woman decide who she wants to marry, who she wants to divorce. Inheritance, give her equal rights.
Exactly.
Give her equal rights.
Let's go one by one. Nabila, okay, Nabila, just go ahead, and then Anisha, and then and then Akshita.
My only point is we've got to start as a society first to empower women in the true sense, right? And that comes with ensuring, giving space to women, give them roles in corporates, allow them to step up as CEOs.
Why can't UCC be that first step?
No, why should that be the first step?
May I just interject?
Uniform civil code is at the cost of killing diversity in many levels.
How do we kill diversity?
Let her finish. I have a question. Is there any format of a uniform civil code that the government has presented for us to think, all right?
Nabila, but there is no draft. Okay, there is no draft.
Another thing.
Make your point. Okay, let Nabila make her point.
We are so diverse as a country. Tell me if all communities are actually having that kind of trust and belief in the government for them to actually accept the uniform civil code as of today.
I'm sorry, nobody really accepts the laws as they exist.
One second. Let me bring in Akshita. Akshita hasn't had a word in Akshita. For starters, Nabila, just a yes or no. Are you opposing the UCC?
Not at all. But I'm not accepting it as of today.
But you're saying it doesn't accept diversity.
Today, Nabila. When there is mistrust.
Okay, I'll come to you. Okay, make your point. Nabila, now let her make her point. I think her question is about the intent behind UCC, right? About why it's being brought and the timing of it. But having said that, what does UCC represent? It doesn't change just because a motive is differing or any of that.
It does. It does.
How?
It changes.
Actually, if I may just make a point.
Just like laws are misused.
Property, marriage, divorce, inheritance,
You answer a question, that's the point, right?
You answer the question, there is mistrust at this point, as per the 21st Commission of the Law Panel. They themselves say that, or the 22nd, I beg your pardon. The
21st Law Commission in 2018 said that there is no point in bringing in a UCC.
Get it. Okay, what do you say?
They said there's no point in bringing in a UCC till you've streamlined and actually actually implemented the laws that exist. What the point that Nabila is making about mistrust, about non-implementation, that is the biggest problem. Because even if you bring in some sort of a draft, is society really following it? And the example I had made about co-parenting, though 2005 the Hindu Succession Act was changed, it took a Supreme Court order in 2020 to pretty much crack the whip.
No,
my
point is
that
even if I may, 1835, let's look at history. 1835, it was the British East India Company, they wanted to codify some laws. 1835, then it was said, no, you know, one section of Indian society is not ready for it. There was the Constituent Assembly, when they were discussing it, again it was said, and you know, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is in favor of it, Aladi Krishna Iyer is in favor of it, but Muslims are not ready. Muslims are not ready.
Nobody can hear that.
When will Muslims be ready? When will Muslims be ready? Not ready in 1835, not ready in 1956, not ready in 2023. Shabanu case mein,
Why are you only raising Muslims? Even Parsis are not happy with it. There are many tribal communities that are not happy with it. This is precisely the point. You're targeting one religion.
How is one? So aren't the six, by the way. So aren't the six. So aren't the six. So aren't the six.
Six are all not happy with it. So
follow the same law.
What is this?
Which law? That is the question. Time out. Okay, Nalini, come in.
There are a lot of words that are being thrown around as empty rhetoric. There were things that Gaurav said about how UCC is secular, the parliament needs to enact it and the country needs to follow it. When, two questions.
No, I'm sorry, how is that rhetoric? How is that rhetoric?
Gaurav, I did not interrupt you.
How is it rhetoric?
She's telling you how. Respect.
She's telling you how.
Two questions I have to ask you. One, when was the last time you saw a staunchly Hindutva party like the BJP standing for anything secular in this country?
Politics over women's rights.
Let me complete my point.
Women's rights is secondary to politics.
The second question, which is a more important question.
Yes, it is.
When was the last time that you saw the parliament intelligently debating any aspect, let alone the Uniform Civil Code?
So you are saying parliament in India is not worthy of making laws. So who should make laws?
No,
Supreme Court of India.
May I get a word in? I want to ask a question. Gaurav, is it about women's rights?
Is this not?
Yes,
is this not?
Once again,
marriage, divorce, inheritance,
if it is about equal rights,
can I complete one second? Based on customs and traditions.
Gaurav, if this is about equal rights, are you standing up for gay rights as well? Because I am standing up for equal rights. Yes or no?
Absolutely.
You think
every right?
You think the government? You think the government needs to come in?
I don't speak for the government.
But
I don't speak for the government.
What do you speak for?
I am saying.
Are you pro gay rights?
I am pro. The debate today is on uniform civil code.
Are you pro gay rights or not? It's about equal rights. The debate today is equal rights. The debate today is equal rights, including the debate today is equal rights.
See, this is exactly how it goes.
Can I also speak for
Nabila, this is exactly how. I'm sorry, this is uniform civil code and subject opinion. When it's about women's rights,
women's rights,
it's about everybody's rights.
So, okay, Akshita wants to come in. Akshita.
Because I have the softest voice perhaps here, and I've been drowned out at least 100 times. Go ahead. When we talk about the Uniform Civil Code, I think what we're all saying is great. It brings about consistency, it brings about uniformity, it ensures, simplicity of the law and gender rights and all of that. But at the same time, we're also questioning it, saying there's distrust in the government. We need to take a side here. You can't be like this plus that. We want an ideal situation.
Diverse as us. You cannot take a side at this point.
I'm talking about us.
No, not about us.
I'm talking about us. I'm saying that
aren't we showing the sentiment of the country right now? We have diverse opinions.
I cannot drown out. Allow Akshita to make a point. Make your point, Akshita. My only point is this, that while everyone on this table says, look, UCC is great, we need it for gender rights, at the same time, we can't trust this government to do it. Who do you trust then?
You want us to take a side?
Who do you trust them? Because on one hand, because on one hand, you have the BJP saying we'll bring in UCC. On the other, you have the Congress right now saying we don't want it. It's being brought in a polarized atmosphere, etc. So you either take it as it is, or you don't take it at all. As simple as that.
Which is precisely
what is the ideal situation we're talking about here?
At the very beginning, I said that politicians
Okay, 1 second, Nabila. Okay, make your point.
Which is precisely why, at the very beginning, I said politicians cannot be trusted with this decision. This has to be, the reform needs to come from within the communities first.
Which community?
Any community.
Which community?
Any minority community. One second. Gaurav, I know you're trying to be a little snarky, but let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women on this panel, and I am saying bring UCC.
I'm saying bring UCC, but I'm also saying bring equal rights for gays, which you are
Equality cannot be feminist है लेकिन यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड
गौरव feminist है इसीलिए यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड में गैर राइट भी आएगा गौरव feminist है इसीलिए यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड में सब कुछ आएगा
let Nalini complete and then Gaurav
This is exactly like Amitabh Bachchan in Diwar. जाओ जाके उसका साइन करा के लाओ जाओ जाके इसका साइन करा के लाओ
one second okay everybody just one question to Nalini Nalini make your point when you mention religious groups isn't the law commission asking for opinion from these religious groups?
Correct. And this is an ongoing debate. This is an ongoing debate that's been going on since the time the constitution was drafted. What my point is, I know the politicians will tell you it's all about religion, and we are discussing issues like religion and gender, but the issue regarding uniform civil code is much bigger. It's about protection of geographical identities. It's about protection of cultural identities. There are states in the northeast that follow their personal laws. Nabila, please let me complete. There are states in the northeast that follow their personal laws only because their culture and their traditions are so far diverse from anything else in the country.
You know,
all of that is going to be washed away.
It's not a Hindu-Muslim issue.
If a uniform civil code needs to be brought in, if a uniform civil code needs to be brought in, first, any community, whether it's a tribal community, a religious community, or a gender community, needs to decide that there need to be changes that need to be introduced internally first before any external change can be imposed.
वो 1791 में फ्रांस ला सकता है महिलाओं के लिए इक्वल राइट्स, लेकिन 2024 के भारत में हम फिर भी
France is a tiny fraction of the size and population of this country as well as the diversity.
When you talk about diversity, do remember unity in diversity. Diversity के नाम पर you cannot have Sharia law in any country.
One thing
has to be decided. One thing has to be decided. ये देश कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से चलेगा, संविधान से चलेगा.
संविधान ही नहीं दिया है सबको राइट अपना.
अगर संविधान से चलेगा, अगर संविधान से चलेगा, अगर संविधान से चलेगा, अगर संविधान से चलेगा तो डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल है आर्टिकल 44 है यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड होना चाहिए.
is subsumed under article 15, 16, 25.
At the same time,
everyone has the right to also follow their culture,
their culture. If that culture gives them, I am sorry, if a culture gives a woman less rights and all of you are okay with it, good luck to you. Good luck to you girls. Good luck to all of you.
Where are you putting your goalpost? But I think that's all the time we have.
Have fun.
You know what, Gaurav?
With that,
speaking so much about Hindu-Muslim.
5 women on the panel saying in one voice we need a UCC, but clearly we've been brought.
Don't agree, yet we disagree. There's no agree to disagree.
You're trying to paint the entire picture with one brush.
Well done, so well done. I'm so proud of you.
I'm going to make up texts to the point. All right.
Where the software engineer meets the cool UI UX designer, meets the gifted content writer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you?
It is now over 45 days since Manipur has been on the boil. A fresh spell of violence has rocked the strife-torn northeastern state. First, the house of Nemcha Kikpen, the lone female minister in the current Manipur cabinet. Her house was burned down on Wednesday. Nemcha is one of the 10 Kuki MLAs who raised the demand for a separate administration. In another spell, miscreants opened fire, leaving at least 9 people dead and 10 injured in Khamenlok village.
Monitoring agency should monitor it whether all those activists are in their designated camp or their weapons are deposited or not. If it is certain and if there is intact in all the designated camp, there should not be any kind of gunfire.
Several houses have also been burnt down in Khamenlok village. Many sustained injuries in clashes at Gobajang, Tamenglong district. In the last 24 hours, firearms, ammunitions and different types of bombs have been recovered from Tengnaupal and Imphal East districts. Meanwhile, the Manipur government has now extended the internet clampdown in the state for another 5 days.
The biggest sign that the law and order situation in the state of Manipur is fast deteriorating is the fact that the East Imphal administration has issued a notice on 14th of January announcing a curtailment of the relaxation of curfew hours from earlier, which was 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. to now that is 5 a.m. to just 9 a.m. of about 4 hours. The streets of Manipur and Imphal that had gone silent immediately after the violence took place in the state are again seeing rampage, and the state government seems to be clueless on how peace will prevail in the state once again. In New Delhi, Akshita Nandgopal for India Today.
Month, when the International Chess Federation released the rankings for the under-7 category, right on top was an Indian wonder kid. Anupriya Yadav from Prayagraj has secured the first position at the age of 6 years, leaving behind players from the rest of the world.
सबसे पहले प्रिया दीदी से मम्मी ने सीखा था, क्योंकि मैं मम्मी को बहुत फॉलो करती थी, तो इसलिए मैंने मम्मी से सीखा। पापा फिर करने लगे मेरे साथ, मैच खेलने लगे, तो फिर जब पापा से भी हाई लेवल पे हो गई तो दीदी ने सिखाने लगा।
Anupriya is inspired by her sister Priya Yadav, who is a national level chess player. Her parents want to see both of them become grandmasters.
हमारी भी 2 बेटियां ही हैं, इसलिए हमारे लिए हम बेटों से बढ़ के हैं, और हमारा यही सपना है कि ये इनके नाम से हम भी जाने जाते हैं। हमको हमारे अगल बगल में अगर कोई जान पहुंचेगा तो कोई भी बोलेगा प्रिया यादव का घर बताइए, अनुप्रिया यादव का घर बताइए, तो सीधे हमारे घर पहुंच जाएंगे। हमारा नाम तो बहुत कम ही लोग जानते होंगे।
While Anupriya aims to be a grandmaster, her immediate goal is different.
मैं पापा को हरा लेती हूँ बस। मम्मी को भी हरा लेती हूँ। दीदी को तो नहीं।
अब आगे सपना क्या है, किसको हराना चाहती हैं?
दीदी को।
After the latest rankings were released, school teachers felicitated Anupriya for her achievements. Anupriya is now a hero at her school. Bureau Report, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
The biggest Namaste America visit. Modi-Biden to shape new reality. Milestone meet for the big two. Modi visit to transform India-US ties. The most formidable global political commentator. Farid Zakaria exclusive at 8 p.m.
Yoga is a divine journey from self to true self. And this week, India Today is telling you all about yoga.
Yoga is not just about body postures or flexibility. It's a very deeper connection with your own self.
Which in every sense of the word is India's gift to the rest of the world.
It's very passionate for me to bring these teachings back to the West.
We're commemorating Yoga Day. I'm Sneha Mordani. You can catch the show at these times only on India Today television.
Co-powered by The World Comes Together at Sharda University. Tata Altroz. OMG, it's the Altroz iCNG. Bajaj Allianz Life Diabetic Term Plan.
You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. A huge political showdown has now erupted over the centre's decision to drop Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's name from the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library. While the Congress called the decision a reflection of narrow-mindedness, BJP has defended its decision by saying that the museum gives respect to all prime ministers. Here's more.
The Nehru Memorial Museum and Library at the Teen Murti Bhavan in New Delhi will now be called the Prime Minister's Museum and Library Society. The decision to drop the first Indian Prime Minister's name was taken at a special meeting of the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library Society, presided over by the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh.
In a special meeting yesterday presided by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, it was decided that the name should be changed, and the reason that is being given by the society is that in its new form, that is Pradhan Mantri Sangrahalaya at the Teen Murti complex, it depicts the entire journey of all prime ministers as well as India's holistic journey of its democracy. Hence, the name should be such that it gives a complete picture of the new format of the Pradhan Mantri Sangrahalaya.
The decision to change names has left the Congress angry and fuming. Calling it an attempt to erase the history of the country, Party President Mallikarjun Kharge accused the BJP and RSS of pettiness and dictatorial behavior.
Modi ji is here and Nehru ji is there. So Modi ji, why don't you try to make your character equivalent to Nehru ji? You know you can't do this thing. So you are just trying to delete the name of Panditji from all these places.
BJP President JP Nadda hit back the Congress, saying his political rivals were not ready to recognize the efforts of leaders beyond one dynasty.
वहां पर यदि इंदिरा जी, राजीव जी, लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी, पीवी नरसिम्हा राव जी और डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी, जिनके वो बहुत गुणगान भी करते हैं, उनकी उपलब्धियों से समस्या क्या है कांग्रेस को, यह मैं उनसे जानना चाहता हूं.
The renaming of the Nehru Museum comes nearly a year after Prime Minister Modi opened the Prime Minister's Museum at the complex. Teen Murti Bhavan, where the museum is housed, was the official residence of the first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. Bureau Report, India Today.
So the question that we're asking this evening is this an attempt by the government to wipe out what the Congress calls legacy, vendetta politics, being vindictive, petty, other words that the Congress has used, or is it just what the BJP says, that it's not the preserve of one dynasty at all, it smacks of entitlement, and it should be for all prime ministers? Let's take the questions to our panelists this evening. Joining me is Supriya Srinate, Congress spokesperson, Dr. Geeta Bhatt, academic and political analyst, Rahul Srivastav, National Affairs Editor, India Today, will also be with us shortly, and Professor Sangeet Ragi, political analyst. Mr. Ragi also joins us as he was a part of the committee that looked into the content of the Nehru Memorial Museum and what the the new form of this museum is going to be. Mr. Nehru, I'm going to come to you. The charge by the Congress is that this is petty, this is vindictive, it's an attempt to wipe out legacy. However, the BJP says very clearly that it's not the preserve of one prime minister. Why can't this museum be dedicated to all prime ministers? What's so wrong in that, ma'am? Ms. Srinate, can you hear me?
Decided to shows where he's invited. I can hear you, Preeti, but I will not do the show with the RSS person who's sitting here. The Congress has, as a policy, decided to boycott shows which he's going to be a part of. So you have to decide if he continues. I will have to leave the show. I'm sorry about that. But I cannot do the show with him.
Madam, we had no idea about this, but now can we just, instead of getting into a debate, can we just get into a one-on-one?
No, I will not do this show. No, I will not do the show with a gentleman sitting here, because as a policy we've taken this call not to participate in shows
we had no idea it
was. So either he goes or I go. It's as simple as that.
Why don't you give your point and then we'll go point by point? Is that all right with you?
You can do the show with them.
No, Mr. Nate, what I'm saying is, why don't you give your point of view?
No, it is not all right. We have taken a policy decision.
Ma'am, okay, what I'm saying is, Mr. Nate,
I will not share screen space in any show with that person.
Okay, let's do one thing.
No, I will not do the show as long as he's a part of the show.
Mr. Nate,
I cannot do it, Preeti. I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry, my team must have not informed you. Your Hindi channel already knows. There might have been a miscommunication.
It wasn't communicated to us at all.
The show where this.
Okay, it wasn't.
So I'm sorry about that, but as a policy, I can't continue on this show.
Can you give us your point of view? You may leave, and you will not
take a call. You can do a show with them. It's all right.
Madam, hear me out. The point is, we will not.
You can do a show with them. It's absolutely all right. I cannot participate. Either you ask him to leave, or I will have to leave.
Madam, you know, the fact is, I don't.
I'm sorry. This is happening to your show, but I cannot do this show.
Ma'am, hear me out.
I cannot do it.
Ma'am, give your point of view, and you will not share screen space.
I will not defy my party line.
Ma'am, you will not share screen space. I promise I will not make that happen.
I will not do a show where he is participating. It's a decision that has been taken by the party, Preeti. Please understand. I'm a disciplined soldier of the Congress. I'm an official office bearer of the Congress party. I'm not going to defy my party line. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry this is happening, but this is what the truth is. Sorry about that. We will not participate in television debates where this man appears.
But that's what I'm trying to say, ma'am. It's not a debate. Let's not make it a debate. You give your point of view. We will not have you on the same.
I will not participate, Preeti.
Ma'am, I'm not going to put you on the same screen with the other guests.
Either you do a one-on-one with me.
That's what I'm saying. Let's do a one-on-one and you leave.
Do a one-on-one with me and let me go, and you can continue the show.
Exactly. So let's do a one-on-one with you and you leave is what I'm saying. So that's the question, ma'am. Please answer your question. Please answer the question.
Fair enough. That's all right.
So, ma'am, the question is
Sorry,
what I asked you.
Because
Okay. The question, Mr. Nate, was that the Congress calls it petty. It calls the move of renaming the Nehru Museum as trying to wipe out legacy. But the counter that is coming is that, it's not really about one dynasty. Why can't the same museum be dedicated to all prime ministers of the country? What's so wrong in that?
There can be n number of counters that come from the BJP, but the reality is that the BJP is uncomfortable with Pandit Nehru. They are uncomfortable with Pandit Nehru's legacy. The official handle that the Bharatiya Janata Party owns on Twitter has a picture that says Jawahar sitting on somebody's feet. Is this what they do to India's first Prime Minister? You really want to admonish and you really want to erase Pandit Nehru's legacy, and you think it's going to be possible. He was a giant among stalwarts. He was somebody who could have a conversation with a man on street and Einstein with equal depth. And after 200 years of British rule, he did not cry foul like you did. He in fact laid the foundation for the 21st century by building IIT, AIIMS, BARC, ISRO, Indian Institute of Science, Himachal Institute of Mountaineering. He looked at an overall development, talked about the National School of Drama. That's who Pandit Nehru was. You want to stymie him? Try all your luck, but you can't, because you cannot keep looking in the rear view mirror and try and create history. For people to create history, you will have to take gigantic steps. For people to create history, you will have to have the courage and the wherewithal to take people along. By erasing a part of your history, if you think you're going to stymie Nehru, you know what? That's not going to happen. That's
but okay, Mr. Nate, the question's not that. The question is
exercise that many people within the BJP are very uncomfortable about.
Sir, I'll come to you after I speak with her, right? So, no, the question is, ma'am, and I'm going to come back to it. The question is not about trying to erase history or not to honor the first Prime Minister of India. The question is, why can't all Prime Ministers be honored where this museum is concerned? Why have an entire institution dedicated to one individual alone? You want to do it, the Congress wants to do it in your own premises and not on national resource. Let this be for all Prime Ministers of the country, which includes Nehru.
That's the most specious argument. That's the most specious argument I have heard. And I will tell you why it is specious. It is specious because Pandit Nehru was not just Congress's president at one point in time and somebody who spoke about Purna Swaraj for the first time. Pandit Nehru was not somebody who just spent 10 years in jail and wrote Discovery of India and not, letters of apology. Pandit Nehru was independent India's first Prime Minister. He laid the foundation of this country, the foundation of a plural liberal democracy. So I think it's an extremely stupid and a specious argument to turn around and say that Pandit Nehru should be celebrated by the Congress. Just like every Prime Minister of this country, once the tenure is over, should be celebrated for his achievements and failures, be lamented by everybody. I will, however, say, nobody is saying don't celebrate others. Absolutely celebrate others. But don't you understand that to create a space for other Prime Ministers, you don't need to downsize Prime Minister Nehru, you don't need to downsize his legacy, and is this the first time they are doing so? They have changed schemes, they have changed premises where Nehru's name occurred. They changed the name of Khel Ratna simply because it was Rajiv Gandhi's name. They changed the name of Indira Awas Yojana simply because it was her name. It's vendetta, petty politics.
Okay. One final question before I let you go.
What a narrow-minded political view the BJP has.
The counter to that is one final question before I let you go. What is it that the Congress is doing in Karnataka? You have gone ahead and you have erased Hedgewar's speech. You have gone ahead, erased the chapter on Savarkar where Karnataka is concerned. If tomorrow the Congress is to come to power at any point of time, are you going to rename the stadium that the Prime Minister has, which is named after the Prime Minister in Gujarat? You're doing so in Karnataka. Everything that is introduced by the BJP, you're overturning it. So it's vendetta from your side as well, Mr. Nate. That's the argument.
No, that's not true. No. That's not true. That's half truth. So don't peddle it, please. What we have done is that chapters on Nehru and Baba Sahib were removed, and yes, we have got them back. And I'm glad that the children in Karnataka will be taught mandatorily the preamble of the Constitution. I am glad that's happening. You can't rewrite history just because you are in power for 5 years or a stolen period of 3 years that the BJP was in power. You cannot rewrite history sitting in New Delhi just because you come to power. You inaugurate a new parliament. Where is the president? Where is the tricolor? That is the question that we are raising. You can't undo history and think you are going to be the creator of history. It doesn't work like that. My only request is, once I'm gone, please do not show me in a window or a grab, because this is a hateful man with whom we do not participate in television
Let's
debates.
not, okay. The fact is, I'm not going to do that, but appreciate you joining us, and let's just steer clear of making any personal jibes, and this is for the entire panel. Thank you, Mr. Nate, for joining us. It's noted for the next time in terms of, because, you know, it's very interesting because the BJP spokespersons will not come if Mr. Nate is there, and it seems Mr. Nate is not going to come if there are individuals from the RSS who's there. But let's cut across right now to Professor Sangeet Ragi, who's a political analyst. He was also part of the content committee which looked into the content of the Nehru Memorial Museum and going forward. The question I want to ask you, Mr. Ragi, is the sheer fact that in 2016 the Prime Minister had come out and said that there is a need, and an urgent one at that a museum be created for honouring all our Prime Ministers. That can happen side by side. A new institution, a new museum can be created to honour all our Prime Ministers. Why change something which already exists in the name of Nehru? Now, this particular museum, which is the Nehru Memorial Museum, has nothing to do with recounting what the Prime Ministers of this country or heads of states of this country has done. It's primarily an institution of research for contemporary India, and therefore it was named after the first Prime Minister of the country. So what's, why not have something alternative? Why rename a structure which already exists?
First of all, let me say that only intellectually covered believe in the political untouchability, those who doesn't have the capacity to debate in open forum.
So the BJP is not coming with Mr.
Just a moment, no.
Then it cuts both ways.
Second way. The Congress spokesperson said that it is Nehru who laid the foundation of liberal democracy in India. It is patently wrong, false, and absurd. It is the Constitution which has laid the foundation of constitutional liberal democracy of India. Third, Congress and its political spokespersons suffer from political glaucoma. They are dynasts so much deep in the mud of political dynasty that they never have mustered courage to think beyond the Gandhi-Nehru family. The whole intent of coming out with a new museum was to look at the journey of India through the Prime Ministers. It is not only Nehru who has contributed to, and I'm sorry to say, he is not only the one who contributed to making of this modern India. If unification is the criteria, first and foremost, the kind of territory that we find today, it was not Nehru, it was Sardar Patel who created the India what we have today. Secondly, as an institution builders also, the kind of bureaucracy that you see today, it is not the credit that goes to Nehru, but it goes to Patel. Further, the Modi government wanted that all the prime ministers of this country have contributed to the making of this nation. The nation that we have today, there has been contribution for all great prime ministers, little or more in proportionate to the the time they remained as a prime minister, whether it was Charan Singh or not. But the dynasts only think that the political iconography of a nation should be named in terms of
Mr.
Gandhi
Sangeet Ragi,
and
can I
Nehru.
ask you a question? You're on the board, sir, of looking at the content of the new museum?
Yes.
My second question is, are you attached to a political outfit?
No, I'm not attached to any political outfit.
So then my third question.
But second point, let me tell you. But I have my position, ideological position, which does go against Congress.
But then,
let me say, it is not that everybody has to follow